Hi again. Hello, everyone. I'm back again for another quick discussion, quick live topic with you guys. Today, I'm going to be talking about tackling some of the other symptoms that you guys seem to be feeling and going through when it comes to hormonal balance. These symptoms are fatigue, anxiety, and mood swings. Okay, I'm going to discuss with you guys how these have a major effect on your hormones, how your hormones are actually incorporated into these signs and signals, and this is exactly part of the signs and signals that your body is giving you that you may have a hormonal imbalance. Okay, so if you're new to it, if you're new to the group here, or you're new to just understanding and learning about your hormones, yes, fatigue, mood swings, anxiety, these are all signs and symptoms that you may be struggling with a hormonal imbalance. And those of you who already know you have a hormonal imbalance, how this comes into effect. So let us start first by talking about fatigue and fatigue symptoms. All right. Now, when it comes to um, when it comes to a hormonal imbalance, we are a lot more reactive to stress. Okay, we react differently and we handle stress a lot differently, and we're a lot more prone and sensitive to it. Okay, when I'm talking about stress, I'm not just talking about emotional stress here. I'm talking about environmental stress, stress at work, stress with the family at home, stress through dieting, too little calorie consumption, metabolic stress through our workouts. Okay. This uh, stress is going to obviously affect your cortisol, which you guys know is a stress hormone. It is a stress hormone that stores fat. It doesn't burn fat, it stores it. Now, what happens is when we have a high amount of stress, okay, it leads to a high amount of stress that can in turn affect your anxiety. Because we are more prone to being sensitive to stress, that can trigger anxiety feelings, it can trigger anxiety attacks, even full blown panic attacks. Now, let's have a scenario where I want you to put yourself in a situation where you're sitting behind your desk and your boss or colleague has sent you an annoying email, which kind of sets you off, where you're reading this email. You're not happy reading this email. You're not happy with what you're reading or with the news that's in this email. You start to get frustrated. You start to get angry, and you're building up stress in your body. All right. You're still sitting behind your desk, but you're building up that tension. You're building up that stress in the body, within the system. Now, what happens? You probably honestly feel like going punching a wall right now, but you can't. You're at work, you're in that work environment, and you remain sitting behind your desk. What happens to the body? Internally, in our body, we're building up the adrenaline, okay? That adrenaline is building up higher and higher. The adrenaline is rising. You're putting your body, or your body ends up being in what we call fight or flight mode. Okay, fight or flight mode, it's that reaction, that it's the body's way of showing us we're under pressure, we're under stress, and we got to do something about it. Okay, back in the day when they used to go hunt for their food, in that fight or flight mode, what would happen is either the person would stay there to fight, or the person would flee. Okay, so there's a surge of adrenaline, your adrenal glands kick in to do their work, to show your body, okay, it's time to take action. You're either going to fight or you're going to flee in that situation. Come back to the present moment, 2021. We are in fight or flight mode. What happens? We don't fight and we don't flee either. We remain sitting exactly where we are. So what's happening? We have a surge of adrenaline. Adrenaline glands kick in. We're not burning off that adrenaline. We are staying put. We are sitting exactly where we are, and we are not moving. Okay? That ultimately has a bad effect on the body. That ultimately, after that surge of adrenaline, it's going to drop back down. It's going to cause major fatigue. Okay? So that surge of adrenaline is going to rise up high. Bang, it's going to work against us because we did not fight, we did not flee, we did not burn that adrenaline off, we stayed put. So what happens is the body crashes. Take yourself in that scenario where you're in that work situation, you're frustrated with work, whether it's an email, whether it's a meeting, whether it's news that you're not happy to hear. Frustration kicks in, adrenaline kicks in, stress is going, surging through your body, but you remaining there, sitting behind that desk. You're not burning off that adrenaline. So again, that's going to cause your body to crash. Your body's going to feel like that crash and burn. I don't know if you ever noticed, but generally, when it comes to a tense day like that, or a very tense scenario, more often than not, by the evening or even the next morning, you feel like you've been hit by a truck, basically. Okay? This is what happens. This is the reason why that happens in the body. You have not burnt off that adrenaline. You stayed there, stayed put, held on to it. Now, this is going to happen throughout our life. If it happens a couple of times, the body can handle it. However, what is really damaging to us is when it's happening at a constant time, constant level, constant rate. This is going to cause chronic stress. Chronic stress is going to have a huge impact on your body, on your body's function, on your hormones, and it can lead, this is the type of stress that can lead to major health issues, strokes, heart attacks. This type of major chronic stress can have a massive impact on your health. So it's one thing to start off slow or small, and it's another thing when that stress ball begins to build up, build, and build, turns into chronic stress. Your health is going to be a major issue then. All right. So this is how it's all boiled in. Cortisol levels rise, adrenal glands kick in, that adrenaline, fight or flight mode. After that, crash and burn, you feel like you've been hit by a truck. This is where your fatigue kicks in. Okay, the fatigue majorly kicks in. So yes, your anxiety, your fatigue issues may be coming from that culprit of how your body's handling the stress, how your cortisol hormone is handling the stress, which is having a negative effect on you. So again, focusing on balancing your hormones from a hormonal perspective can help reduce the symptoms of fatigue and anxiety. And ultimately, at the end of the day, also comes in point when it comes to our mood swings. Okay? Here's the reality check for you guys. Both insulin and cortisol levels fluctuate. Okay, insulin is something that's going to be kicked in when it comes to the food, your food intake. All right, so your diet. This is why everything is connected and everything is surrounded and connected to the hormones. Okay, so if you're causing your body stress or metabolic stress through diet and nutrition by not eating right or not eating the right things, causing stress through cortisol and through the environment that you're in, or whether it's at work or whether you're sticking to that stressful environment, the insulin and cortisol levels fluctuate very easily up and down. The response to this fluctuation is energy highs and energy lows, cravings, mood swings, a build up to metabolic resistance. Okay, so your metabolism is going to push back and work against you. And specifically fat storage, specifically around the abdominal area, because you are in fat storing mode instead of fat burning one. So it's important to take these notice these and take these into effect, that the insulin and cortisol fluctuations will have these effects on your body. I'm going to take myself as an example. I don't know if some of you have heard my story before, but after having my son, after my son was born, I went through major anxiety issues. I used to have a lot of anxiety attacks. Some of them would turn into full-blown panic attacks. I went obviously to speak to my doctor. As usual, you hear the common words, oh, this is normal. This is what you're supposed to feel. This is what women go through. You know, it's completely normal. This whole sentence of "this is normal," I wish people would actually stop saying it, because there is a way that we can avoid this. Even though it is normal in the fact that a lot of people pass through it, but it is not right for our body, and it is coming from that hormonal imbalance. So when I went to speak to my doctor had wanted to put me on antidepressants, which I wasn't happy about. Now, again, I'm not saying that medication is bad. I'm not saying don't turn towards medication, because medication can work. However, I just felt that at that point in time, I was not sad. I did not have the baby blues. I was not, crying every day. My son was making me happy all the time. I wasn't depressed. Depression was not the issue for me at that point. I have in the past felt deeply depressed and gone through prenatal depression. So I had gone through prenatal depression before my son was born. So I felt the difference that I was in. So I did not feel I was happy to take the medication. When I stopped and just really listened to my body and started to understand, no, this is actually coming from a hormonal imbalance, that is when I started to see a change and a shift. Why? Because I was getting barely any sleep. I was completely overwhelmed with being a new mom and overwhelmed with this new lifestyle and taking care of this tiny little baby and the responsibility that I had taking care of this tiny little baby. So when I stopped and started to give my body what it needed and understand my body and just focus on lowering the stress, focus on my cortisol, that is when I started to see a difference. What did I do? Gave a priority to sleep whenever I could. It wasn't easy every day, I'm not going to lie, but gave priority to sleep when I could. I started to do things to make things work out better for me. Leaving the house, sometimes going out for a drive or somewhere completely different and new would give me anxiety. So I decided to stay safe. I would go out for leisure walks around the village where I live. So I was still safe. I was still close to home. Surround myself with my support group, with my family, and feel the support from them and the safety from them. Giving an importance to spending at least 5 minutes in that day just focusing on breath work and that quiet meditation that I could do while I'm putting the baby to sleep or feeding the baby. Just these little tiny things that I started to incorporate, and I started to feel much better. Anxiety levels started to go down. Panic attacks started to go down. I was understanding my body. It was coming from a hormonal perspective. Again, after having a baby, your body is going through a complete hormonal imbalance change. So I gave my body the time it needed. I understood, focused on lowering my stress, focused on what I could do, even if it was just a little bit, even if it was just a few minutes a day, or going out for that half an hour leisure walk, whatever I needed to do. That made a huge difference and a huge impact on how I was feeling. So I did not have to resort to take the medication, and everything started coming back into check again. Okay, so this is why I'm talking to you guys. That way you understand how fatigue, mood swings, and anxieties are things that you are struggling with due to your hormonal imbalance. So it is important for you to tackle the hormonal imbalance, do what you can, rest and recovery sessions, leisure walks, exercising and training specifically for hormonal imbalance. Okay, forget high intensity interval training, HIIT classes. Doing what you can to do to lower your stress or learn to handle it better. At the end of the day, we can't control. We're all gonna have to face stress one day or another. However, how we handle it will make a huge difference and a huge impact on your hormones. Giving the importance of de-stressing, using those rest and recovery sessions to bring that cortisol down again. Okay, guys, please feel free to message me if you need any more help, any more details regarding, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling unsupported, send me a private message. We can discuss a bit one-to-one, the options that you have, what you can do for that hormonal balance, and getting your life back on track again. That's all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and I will hope to speak to you soon. Take care.